Hi, I'm Erin Smith, Editor-in-Chief of the Charger Bulletin. 2025 has marked a tremendous year for the University of New Haven. Athletics making the move to compete in Division I, a multi-million-dollar donation from an alum to erect a new on-campus building, and consent to establish an international branch in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Who else to talk about these accomplishments and more than the University of New Haven President Jens Frederiksen? Thanks for being with us today. We're just going to get right into your involvement in the UNH community. Your family has had a huge presence these last few years you've been here in the community, attending different community events and sports events. And I'm just wondering, what has your family's presence meant to you, and why do you think it's important to have your family involved in the university community?
Oh, that's an emotional question right off the bat. I and my wife would be the first to confirm this. I'm a workaholic, which is not a flattering thing to be. So I spend long hours and then I come home, and obviously I have relatively young kids, and so I try to be as present in their lives as I can be. But the fact that you can share something that I'm passionate about, and by now they're passionate about, what an incredible thing to for us as a family to feel like we're part of an extended family. And so, right, I don't just come home and talk about, this happened and that happened, right? My kids actually by now know some of the people who work here. Of course they're invested in the games and they have some sense of what I do, I think. So I think to be able to, if you're in higher education, I'd like to think that you're committed to sort of a family, large family in terms of the university community, and having an impact on that. And so being able to have your own family be a part of it is extraordinary.
Yeah, I remember I'm on the field hockey team actually, and you guys came to our blue and gold game, and I think your daughter actually walked out with our team, with one of my teammates for the starting lineup, and I thought that was so cute. And I've seen them playing basketball in the rec before. What are your maybe your favorite highlights or different events that you guys have went to as a family on campus?
There's a lot of them, so it's absolutely fascinating. The things that matter. We went to a football game and one of the players was running to the porta potty and he high-fived my daughter and he instantly became, she thinks he's the greatest football player. No, I'm not saying he isn't, but so it's sort of seeing it through their eyes. They're obviously enamored every time they get to walk out or feel like there's something, they get to hold a ball or somebody gives them a high five.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of there's been so many. We were at a tree lighting thing yesterday, been at international fests, we've been at graduation and sporting events, and we wanted to go to a play. I think the kids were too young to go to that play. It's been, for somebody who otherwise would struggle to balance family and work, having had my family have these experiences and being decked out in Charger gear. Bringing the little friends.
Yeah. We were just talking about your social media presence, but you're very active on the New Haven President TikTok and Instagram and has close to 5,000 followers. How has your social media presence attracted attention to the university, in your opinion?
I guess it's always hard to measure, right? You can measure viewership and how that ultimately translates, hopefully, into more students wanting to be part of the community. I get sort of the anecdotal things where, ironically, a lot of parents will come up to me during open house and they're like, we see you on social media.
Yeah, my dad has sent me some Instagram reels.
It's, I have an incredible team, and I'm sure they quietly lament about the lack of talent. But I just think we live at a time where there are so many modalities of communication. This idea of sort of handwriting a letter, I'm not saying it doesn't matter anymore. I still think there's a place for it. But the way in which you interact across all demographics, I think social media, it's hard to deny the power of social media. And hopefully we've managed to strike a good chord that both sort of shows the challenges and the funds and the upsides and the comparative advantages of programs and the overall experience.
Mm-hmm. Going into one of the other big attractions from the university this year is our change to Division I athletics. We became the 365th and newest school to compete in Division I this season. Now that the fall sports season has ended, what are some takeaways of the experience so far that you've experienced?
Oh, I'm blown away by the. I mean, you always sort of, as you make these decisions, and you make these decisions in sort of record speed, and you try to mitigate against all the risks of, if we can't fill a schedule, if nobody responds, the financials, just everything that's sort of in flux. How will it be received? I'm so incredibly proud of everyone on the athletic side, and also marching band and the student life that has been a part of. I mean, there was quite a buzz, right? And so, I mean, I think football went 5-5. Men's that ESPN goal. I mean, it's been. I mean, I think it's going to be a growth period, and so you're going to have your ups and downs. Like, UConn was a highlight on basketball, but then Penn State wasn't exactly right. So I think there's going to be those bumps in the road, and I think we'll iron those bumps out as we go through this period. But as a whole, I think it's been absolutely wonderful, and I think that's the feedback that we're getting from students, from the student athletes.
Yeah, I mean, as an athlete myself, it's definitely a growth period. I'm leaving now, so it's up to the rest of the field hockey team. But as a new Division I school, the university has the potential to attract more people throughout the country. How does this change the Division I impact the university's goals looking forward and expectations?
Oh, that's a good question. I might not even phrase it like that. I think this place is extraordinary for its academic and professional and social impact, and the kind of transformation that happens. I mean, I think D1 is flashy, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. I don't think we're going to get caught up in that flash. We're going to continue to sort of drive at the student athletic experience that I knew, which is like top level competition, but we're not like shelling out thousands of dollars, never mind the kinds of dollars that are being, that's not our aspiration at all. It is to be, because I think you're actually going to see a lot of schools who are going to struggle to keep up with the Joneses. So the Alabamas, the Ohio States, they'll do what they do, right? And it's sort of almost professional, I mean, it is at this point. And you're going to see, I think, a lot of schools and student athletes that are looking, because that's part of the magic of the American system. I came as a student athlete because everywhere else you have to make that choice. So to both be an athlete and learn all those skills and continue to do something that you have sacrificed who knows how much of your youth to, and to be able to translate that into, I think it's a wonderful exposure for the university, but that's just to sort of, I mean, people have called it the gateway or whatever they've called it, the invitation, but it's really to get to everything that we're doing across the academic programming.
And one of those things is the future expansion that I mentioned in the opening. So at the end of 2024, the university acquired the 130,000 square foot commercial space that was formerly ShopRite and Railroad Salvage. It will eventually become the Center of Innovation and Applied Technology. So just tell us a little bit how this acquisition came to fruition.
Well, I even before I sort of formally became a part of the campus community, I don't think I could sit through one meeting without somebody saying, "Are you aware there's a challenge of space?" Space, it was like space. For
sure.
And you can hear that over and over again. And I think the university has done a marvelous job growing through a period where there was a lot of growth. Demographics were favorable and this, that, and the other. But in some ways, and we've had a brilliant facilities team and leadership there, but there's only so many times you can kind of knock down another wall and turn it into that. I mean, eventually you have to get on the front foot and begin to design buildings with the objective that they're serving in mind. And I mean, you probably remember this. My passion has always been, I think this is a moment in time, and it has been for a while, but I think it's becoming more pressing, where students who choose a 4-year experience want to see the return on investment in terms of what happens next, be that graduate school, professional careers across sort of the spectrum, NGOs, government, whatever it is. And you got to create those pipelines and pathways. And I thought that that particular, I mean, it sits right across the campus. It was sort of, I was dumbfounded the first time I was here that it didn't actually belong to the campus. So we were able to get that done, and we have some massive outside donor funding, and it will be turned into an innovation and applied technology park that students will be able to work alongside in sort of working internships, which then also sort of addresses student work, that they don't have to go outside of the field or go to some, nothing wrong with restaurants, but I think over time it becomes a space that is really an exciting catalyst for what that's next chapter. I mean, we talk about internships, we talk about work experience, experiential learning, but this will also be sort of the actual research that will be done there is for companies like Medtronic or Sikorsky or whoever else that are working on actual things alongside students. I just think it will be an incredible comparative advantage for students.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of the plans. It looks really nice in there. When do you think the construction is going to start? Is there a plan for that?
There absolutely is. I mean, so like most other things, it's contingent upon funding, right? Because we've been very thoughtful in our growth that it's all been contingent upon outside funding, including the business school, which will go right across the street. It will all be donor funded, and part of that challenge is that, I mean, it's identifying the donors, and obviously we've done pretty well already, and now we're also seeking some state and some federal funding for it. I mean, in my dream world, we begin sort of white boxing the whole outside and the landscape somewhere April, May.
Cool. As a student, I know many of them are going to be wondering, and we always get questions about this, is the parking aspect of everything.
Oh, that was outside of space. I think that was also one that I got very early. We're actually currently looking at one specific site. I can't get into details. That would, because of course the railroad parking lot is pretty substantial.
For sure, yeah.
But if we're going to landscape that a little bit and limit the spots there, but there is an opportunity. We have some real estate that's adjacent to the campus that would be suitable for an actual parking structure, but that is still in the preliminary stages, and so I want to be careful. We are acutely aware of it, and so that is in the works.
Good, nice. And you mentioned the new business school. Is that going like by Haragari Hall over there, or South Campus Hall?
Yeah, it's going on that hill that leads, so it'll literally be sort of, you'll drive in and there it'll be, and then it sort of combines that whole South Campus Hall, Harry Gary, that whole sort of block will really be spruced up, and the pathway to where, because eventually you go to sort of 1K Lane, we're really trying to connect, and we're actually doing that on the North Campus too. Because it is sort of a campus that's like you want to feel like one. I mean, moving the business school back from Orange was precisely to bring it all in, right, and for students to have that experience. And so I'd like to try to do something similar over time with North Campus.
That sounds cool.
That is pretty neat. Yeah.
I won't be here to see it, but I'll come back. I'll come back and visit.
Yeah.
Also, another expansion, we have an international expansion, obviously, with the Saudi Arabia campus. So in October, the university became the first institution in the world to receive approval from the Saudi government to open an international branch campus in Riyadh. How did this opportunity come about?
Well, so the university was one of very few American universities that had actually delivered programming in the past, not sort of formal, but designed curricula, delivered curricula. There were some members of a royal family that had been taught in Riyadh, and then there was a particular college where we designed the curriculum and delivered it and then turned it over. So we actually, for years, had maintained a team that sort of operated in and around the ground. And I guess I was made aware of it very early on. And also being aware of sort of what's happening in Saudi with Vision 2030 and this incredible, I mean, there's no other way to describe it, societal modernization, economic diversification vision that is just as ambitious and as aggressive as anything I've seen. And so I knew sort of, I mean, there's a lot of metrics in there, right, about, I I mean, I think the original was it 32% of women in the workforce. Now it's 35 already. They haven't even reached 2030. But then it was entire sectors, healthcare, finance. I mean, we know Saudi as oil producing, right? And it was all Aramco students who would come to the U.S. And so there's all these tourism, sports. I mean, we read about this on TV too, right? Whether it's golf or tennis or soccer, right? It's all. And so I felt like I went and was kind of blown away by the opportunity because, this is just a brief tangent, but the kingdom used to send a lot of students to the US to study. Then they kind of stopped that, try to bring it back home to their own institutions.
Yeah.
But it's a population where 65, 70% of the population is below the age of 30, and you just don't have the bandwidth. And there's clearly always been an appetite for international education. And so I felt like, given the roots that we had sort of, the relationships that we'd built there, that we should explore that and see if we could move that along.
Yeah, and before our interview, the Charger Bulletin reached out to Charger Nation to submit questions to ask. The following question comes from one of our students in regard to the Saudi Arabia branch campus, and they were wondering how you are ensuring ethical investments at UNH with the Saudi Arabia. I mean, they have their Vision 2030 that you talked about. But how are you ensuring? I know people were wary of, just Saudi Arabia in general.
Okay. Ethical investment in terms of sort of what we do on the endowment side. Yeah. I got this question in a town hall, if it's sort of the same. And I said to the student I would look into it. And I think, so I did. I haven't gotten back to the student yet. I think it's, we are exposed at 1/4 of 1% in a fidelity fund. That has nothing to do with Saudi. That is a defense. 1/4 of 1% of a Fidelity 500 index fund. That's the exposure on the endowment side. We're not currently investing in Saudi. So maybe I'm not answering the question. I hope I am.
Well, we'll see. But also, I just want to clear this up for everyone. What can you tell us the difference between our Prado campus and what the Saudi Arabia campus will be? Because I think there can be some confusion along the community.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
So Prado isn't a degree granting. It's more sort of an accreditation site, right? I mean, we're very high on Prado. If we had resources, I'd love to expand Prado because I think people rave and rant about it. I still haven't actually been, which is nuts.
Yeah.
I used to be in Italy a lot when I was younger, so I do know the region, but I've never seen the building. So Prado is sort of a study away site that we could expand, but it doesn't have sort of singularly granting degree authority. What we're seeking in Saudi is the ability to deliver on-ground degrees, which of course students could come finish the last year here, they could come finish the last 2 years here, but you do want the authority to be a fully degree granting institutions through the same US accrediting body with the same set of regulations. And I think doing it that way just sort of echoes how we're doing it ethically and doing it the right way by upholding US accreditation. But so that sort of, I hope that makes sense, the difference between Prado and what Riyadh would be.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely clears it up. And you also mentioned how, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia used to send students to the U.S. to get their education. So I'm wondering how you think that's going to affect like the opening of the campus in Riyadh. How do you think it will affect our own international student enrollment?
I mean, I would like to. I mean, so I'm obviously an international student, so I'm a huge proponent of international students. I don't think you have to do a lot of. I'm deeply troubled by the current set of circumstances where it's been scaled way back, so for me, international students are a priority, no matter from where, right? Because I think they add something to this campus and to our, as much to our domestic students as we add to them in terms of those shared or differing worldviews and the intersections of ideas. And so I would expect that with the opening in Riyadh, assuming we get that done on time, that we would see sort of an influx from the region, but you could also imagine some students wanting to go study in Riyadh. And so, I mean, I think we all, certainly here in West Haven, want a vibrant, dynamic community of students from all across the globe, and the current set of circumstances has made that a little bit more difficult, but that is something that we're definitely leaning into.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that actually. Obviously, with everything going on in the world, a lot of international students here, I know, are concerned of their status in the U.S. and in general when they're on our campus. So is there anything being done to ease concerns, or do you have anything you want to share with them to maybe ease those concerns?
Well, I mean, that we institutionally, I mean, we couldn't have been more outspoken about it, sort of short of putting a target on. I mean, there's a Washington Post article out there where we talk about how integral international students are to this community. I mean, we got asked back when there was these sort of, when some of these police forces were coming to campus and doing what they did. I mean, at that point in time, we sort of can't have a standoff, right? And then we received these lists, and then 3 days later, it was sort of backed off. We value them. We will continue to value them. We are a global institution, and we hope that this is and I don't think I'm alone in this. I think a lot of educational institutions, but a lot of industry. I mean, America is a melting pot of incredible international influence and innovation, and I just think it's we will continue to be that.
Yeah, and again, just one last question: how is the university helping to ensure students are more ready for the global workforce? Because I mean, we're seeing a huge rise, and the first year class of 2029 was the most selective in the university's history also. So how are you going to be preparing them as they go on and have their careers?
Well, so maybe we start with the global part.
Okay.
I do think the ability to study abroad, the ability to have experiences on the campus that are global, because no matter what sector you enter into, this is why this sort of current foolishness makes no sense, right? Is you're going to be in technology or finance or healthcare or energy, you're going to be interacting in a global environment, right? So I think, so we're going to continue to lean into that. We have really, really focused heavily on corporate partnerships, organizational partnerships. Now we're building pipelines, because apparently we didn't have them, to medical schools, sort of reserved slots that came out of a student town hall. I mean, you learn a lot along the way, right? And sometimes you assume things exist, and we're doing the same on the law school front, and really putting sort of a more robust preparatory piece together around it. We continue to sort of programmatically innovate and upgrade. AI, it's going to have to be infused across the curriculum, because I don't think it's going to happen quite as fast, because the adoption rates out there in the real world, if you listen to the technology firms, I mean, you barely need me at this point in time, right? I mean, but the reality is that there is a lot of industries that are just in the infancy of adoption, and I think will require a workforce that is literate in AI. But I also think, I described this once in the Middle East, I think this is a really complicated moment for students and the next generation of talent, because on the one hand, you have to be technical experts in your field. The flip side is your field may change so fast that remember something like business analytics a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, AI can now just kind of run that gamut, right? And so I think you have to be a technical expert, you have to be resilient, you have to be dynamic, and so we're building in a lot of this experiential learning through our corporate partnerships program, our organizational partnerships program, the Charger 11, which are these competencies. We're being far more proactive in terms of the Office of Career Planning, and really trying to make sure, I mean, at the end of the day, a student does have to take these incredible opportunities that we're building, and I'm certainly vocal about there's no time early enough to start getting your foot in the door. Even the Burgundy Scholars program that we do, we're going to expand that, where students have an opportunity to experience something that may be sort of life-changing in their field, but the financials don't work out. And so we're all looking across every single sector now with the PA program and clinical placements. And I mean, to me, the dream is, and will always be the dream, and I know it's an ideality, is that you stand at graduation and everybody who walks across the stage sort of shakes your hand and says, Medtronic, Hartford Healthcare, Goldman Sachs, Community Foundation, MD, like that would be the dream.
Yeah. So as we come to a close, is there any last message you want to leave with Charger Nation?
I think it's I mean, I've said this ad nauseum. Well, thank you for that. We are majorly on the move at a time where I think higher education continues to just be bombarded with foolishness and the question around the 4-year experience. And I think we are trying to show that whatever next iteration of that 4-year model is not only needed, but more needed than ever. At a time where the world is moving so crazy fast that we're all sort of in existential turmoil, we need one another. Mm-hmm. And where else but college campuses can you focus on your own self-development and be surrounded by other people who at core have the same, you like to think, mission in mind, because otherwise why else make the investment to be here? And so as a community, I think we need to show that kind of resilience and that kind of uplift, and we all need each other, and I'm super grateful, as is my family, to be part of this community.
Well, thank you so much, President Frederiksen, for taking time out of your schedule to talk today. We really appreciate it. Be sure to grab the latest edition of the Charger Bulletin, distribute it throughout the campus, and watch weekly episodes of the Charger Bulletin News on our YouTube and Instagram. I'm Erin Smith, Editor-in-Chief of the Charger Bulletin. Thanks for watching.